Hey everybody, this is Chris, MTGO's Rex Dart, and I'm here to go ahead and show the match highlights. And I'm going to show 3 games that I played against DirtyDuck's Treefolk list. We actually had to play in rounds 2 and 3 consecutive, which neither of us were particularly happy about. But we did have some interesting games that at least will highlight what a Faeries deck is capable of, some of the decisions that you'll have to make. And remember, when we are looking at the replays, you'll see me casting Ponders because the Brainstorms had to be replaced with Ponders for these games because of these special rules of the event. And I believe, okay, this is the first one to look at. He is playing Treefolk. Treefolk is sort of a mid-range deck, guys with big butts. He's playing it in green, white, black with Doran, and he's got some disruption elements, and I spied an abrupt decay that will come up here early on. So let's take a look at what happens. He Treefolk Harbingers for a Doran, and so although I have a hand here that's really set for a turn 1 Inquisition, I'm going to decide to wait on the Inquisition so that I can catch the Doran in his hand. And he does not have a turn 2 play. Now I know that Doran is in his hand, so I'm going to go ahead and Inquisition for that. And I decide to use the rest of my turn waste landing one of his lands just in case he was short in lands. Alas, he is not, and he makes his second land drop. And I go ahead and ponder there, and I probably should back. I have no idea what I pondered into, but I apparently decided to keep it. I think it was, well, anyways, we'll go on here. Something that I wanted to shuffle away because I have a polluted delta, so I kept that Cloud of Fairies. He goes ahead and has no turn 3 play there. I developed my board a little with the Cloud of Fairies, and I decide to go ahead and V-click him here, and I get very lucky because I catch another Doran in his hand, but I do see he has a couple of sweepers there with the Crime and Punishments. I'll point out now Leaf Crowned Elder, which is the bane of your existence if you're playing against Treefolk. This is kill on sight. No matter what deck you're playing practically, unless you're going to win in the next turn or two, Leaf Crowned Elder is kill on sight. This thing provides so much mana advantage and card advantage just being out and play for a few turns, assuming the deck is properly constructed to maximize it, that you've got to get rid of this thing. It's like getting a free cascading Bloodbraid Elf every turn, pretty much. So get rid of that if you can. But unfortunately, my deck, as you know, is light on spot removal, so I was not able to do that. I now know that I'm in a race situation, and I pretty much punt the race right here because I forget that Leaf Crowned Elder casts the card that it reveals, and I could have Spellstutter Sprited that Dungrove Elder, and I do not, and he now plays a Timber Protector, and that combination of plays is going to basically neuter the Dismember that I draw next turn, and gives it nothing to work with, and so the race is lost in this game, and I'll go on to lose. The second game that we played, load up here. Now, we were talking earlier about how some of the hands are, I'm going to win with Bitter Blossom hands, and some of the hands are, I'm going to tempo you out with counter magic and things. This has, unfortunately, sort of the tempo package and the Bitter Blossom, but the Cryptic Command is good at either and is going to let me win a race with Bitter Blossom, which is the way I'm going to play this. So I'll go ahead and commit to the turn 2 Bitter Blossom. He has no turn 1 play. And I draw that Inquisition, but having none of it, I'm all in on Bitter Blossom. Now, of course, that could have paid. I could have paid the price for that because, as you're going to see, I'm going to catch him now with this Inquisition. He opts to play a Bosk Banneret, but he could have Abrupt Decayed. You're going to see in a minute. When I Inquisition, he could have abrupt decayed my Bitter Blossom right there, and I could have done nothing about it. But thankfully, I'm able to catch it with the Inquisition, and my path to victory is safe for now. I'm going to go ahead and Spellstutter Sprite his Inquisition because why not? And neither of these could be taken with it anyways, so maybe I'll protect the information. He's short on lands, but he's all in on Bosk Bannerets. Now at this point I am going in for I need the 4th land because I know that either Click or Cryptic Command is going to be critical at some point in this game if I'm going to win this race. And so I, instead of deploying the Cloud of Fairies, I've got a big enough board presence there already. I go ahead and decide to save them, and I'm just going to cycle those Cloud of Fairies away to dig deeper for that 4th land. Alas, I do not quite get there. I do get to a V-Click. V-Click is definitely going to improve my clock one way or the other. I obviously have the option of using it on myself and getting rid of that Inquisition of Kozilek to dig one deeper. But instead I decide to use it on him here, and it is fortunate that I do so because I'm able to get rid of a Doran, which would have pretty instantly won him the game. There's no way I'm winning that race if he resolves a Doran. And now I get to that 4th land, and I am unfortunately 1 damage short of killing him here, but I am going to be able to Cryptic him out and win this race quite easily. So now I'm going to take a look at a game that was an example of the other kind of situation, the tempo counter magic sort of hand. I've got a really perfect hand here for that. With the Ponder, it would be better if this was a black source to cast an Inquisition in a later turn, but I go ahead and cast the Ponder, and lo and behold, I find 2 islands and a Cloud of Fairies. So I go Island, Cloud of Fairies, Island, hiding the Cloud of Fairies from my opponent since I don't need them in my hand until next turn anyways. And fortunate that I do that because he's got an Inquisition of Kozilek, and his decision here is an interesting one, and probably based on the fact that he doesn't see that Cloud of Fairies, because what he's looking at is the Spellstutter Sprite, and he's revealed to me a Bosk Banneret, and we're going to see he gets stuck on 2 lands, but probably his thinking is that he's going to be able to resolve that turn 2 Bosk Banneret because I'm not going to be able to Sprite it if I don't have a Cloud of Fairies. And if he does resolve that turn 2 Bosk Banneret, he's going to be able to start deploying threats that are higher converted mana costs that I'm going to be able to do much about with these Spellstutter Sprites. So he thinks he's going to be able to accelerate past them, but of course he doesn't know that I had hid the Cloud of Fairies with the Ponder. And now the game is pretty much over, and he knows it. From this position, there's just very little way to lose with this deck. He goes ahead and plays the Bosk Banneret out here, but I have to play the Spellstutter Sprite either way because I don't know yet that he's stuck on 2 lands, and so I think he could have a 3-drop next turn, and so I'm going to play that Spellstutter Sprite because I don't want him resolving, say, a Doran or something like that. I've got no spot removal in sight or anything like it. So I've got to play the Spellstutter Sprite either way, so playing the Bosk Banneret into it, while it probably didn't really cost him this game here, I don't think anything could have necessarily helped him from this position, but it was unnecessary because I'm pretty much committed. Now, of course, I see that he stalls on land. He Treefolk Harbingers to get himself a land, but I didn't worry about that spell. I can deal with that later. Hit my 4th land drop there. I could have clicked him there, no need, because I can Spellstutter anything that he plays, such as the Dungrove Elder. And then, of course, next turn I will go ahead and Mistbind click him. And at this point, there's just no way that he is going to be able to get back into this game. And I go ahead and Inquisition him, and it whiffs, but it does not matter. I've got him down to lethal, and there's nothing that he can cast that's going to save him in the game. So, anyways, that's a look at how the deck works, some of the different hands you can get with the deck, and some of the ways that you might play them. Obviously, your matchup against something like linear aggro is going to go a lot different. I got island walked all over me by a Merfolk player in one of the playoff rounds, since there were 3 people who were all undefeated at the end of the Swiss. So you do have problems against some decks, but against other decks, you know, the more mid-rangey the better, probably, because your counter magic and everything else is going to help, and you're going to be able to get down your threats earlier. And so there are some matchups where having all your guys fly really shines. And obviously, the fact that this was a special rules event where there was a little less of the ubiquitous Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile, it may have helped as well. My missed blind clicks felt pretty safe all day because there wasn't a lot that was going to hit them. So I felt good about that. All of this event is about matchups anyways. If you get the right matchups, you do well. If you don't, you have to work a little harder and catch some breaks. So anyways, I thank you for joining me with this look at Blueback Fairies, and join me next time.